Welcome, Robbie Renee, to Talia's Book Nook. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you so much for
You
joining.
always drama with me.
um, I remember like at some point during the summer, I'm like, I need to get Robbie Renee as a guest. And I'm like, she just released Summer's Echo, so let me see if she would be willing to join by the end of 2025. So I'm so happy for you to join. Thank you for joining. For those who are just tuning in,
You
we are
got
talking to the Robbie
so.
Renee. We're talking her catalog. We're talking her writing coaching tonight. If you have any questions for Robbie, please save those for the end after our this or that. I will not be scrolling. Reserve your questions for the end. And we're going to make sure we give ample time because I know readers got questions. I know authors have questions. So we're going to make sure there's time for that. But first, we're going to start with a game. This is a rapid fire. So I want you to tell me the first thing that comes to mind after each
Okay.
prompt. And I might investigate a little further based on your answers. You ready?
Yes.
All right. First question. What's your least favorite trope?
Enemies to lovers.
Why?
I guess because I like a good friends to lovers. I think a friendship is important in a love relationship. So if I don't like you, I probably am never gonna like you.
Okay. Okay. Good answer. Good answer. What's a trope you'd like to write about in the future that you haven't already?
Um, a suspense romance book.
Okay, and we're going to talk about The Secret Invitation in a little bit. So I definitely want to hear about that release coming out in fall of
Yeah.
26. What's the hardest part of the writing process for you?
Oh gosh, just staying motivated to actually sit and write. I was on the call just a second ago and hearing all the book recommendations. I'm having a little FOMO because I don't get to partake in all of the things that I would love to read because I have to write. So definitely staying motivated, not laying in my bed and reading Heart of a Goon is becoming very difficult.
What's the last book by someone else you have been able to read?
The last book I read was the whole A.E. Valdez series with North and
Oh, Three Kings Billionaires.
others.
Three
Yes,
Kings.
yes,
Okay,
yes.
okay.
So
What's
I
your
listened to
favorite?
it.
What's your favorite in that series?
Um, N- North was my favorite. It was a bit long, but North was my favorite. He
Yeah,
was
the
my favorite.
audiobook is like 23 hours. I'm like,
Yeah.
I need a slow season to listen to that.
Yes,
Um,
yes.
what's the most underrated book in your catalog?
Um, Kindred Xander's story.
I love that one. You feel it's underrated?
I do feel it's underrated because I think it was like early in the Robbie Renee days. So a lot of people just don't even know it exists. And then when they come across the catalog, they're like, oh my God, how did I miss this one? I'm like, I don't know. It's one of my favorites.
But I love Xander. If you haven't read that, you're asleep, audience. What was the hardest book to write in your catalog?
Somebody's husband.
Okay. Okay, and we're going to talk about both Somebody's Wife, Somebody's Husband in a little
Yeah.
bit. Do you read reviews?
I do read reviews, probably like the first couple weeks and then I stop.
Okay. What are you looking for when you kind of look through reviews?
I actually go to the lowest reviews so that I can see if people left comments because I learn a lot from the comments if they're thoughtful and actually constructive. But if you leave like a 1 or 2 star review and you leave no comments, we can't learn to be better as writers. But I've learned a ton from comments of folks saying, oh, I wish something else would have happened, or I wish this would have gone in a different direction. And it actually makes me think about that in future books, like, oh, should I use some different twists? But yeah, I do, but I don't let them stop my show, but I do read them.
Do you watch reviews, like video reviews?
I do. I go in TikTok all the time and watch reviews, and I just repost it because clearly I don't know how to use TikTok. So
Okay, okay, okay. So you are definite. So you don't shy away from reviews.
I don't shy away from reviews
That's
at
good to
all.
know. How long did it take to write Somebody's Wife?
Oh gosh, total it took me about 6 months because I tabled it halfway through because I didn't like the direction of it. then I went back to it. I actually wrote Foreplay in the middle of me writing Somebody's Wife. So I stopped Somebody's Wife, started writing Foreplay, and then picked Somebody's Wife back up. So total, it took me about 6 months.
Okay. What direction was Somebody's Wife going in that you weren't feeling? What was it about the former direction you weren't feeling?
And it actually didn't change directions. Initially, I was worried about the cheating trope. Because I know people, just have their feelings about cheating tropes, and but I still felt like it was a beautiful story, even though there were, some situations in there. And then I decided, no, I'm gonna go for it because I really love Dr. Ezekiel, and we'll see what happens. So I stopped it only because I didn't think it would be accepted. But
Okay.
then
I actually wrote a question about the cheating trope when we get to that part of the discussion, but I nixed it because I'm like, she got her lick back, so it don't matter. It don't matter. It doesn't. Okay, okay. Who's your author bestie?
Oh, my author bestie is formerly author Untamed, now Aries Sky, all the things. She's definitely one of my author besties. And I would say Danielle Allen. She has been a huge author mentor slash bestie. So she's been amazing for me to just pick up the phone and be like, I need your advice on something. So the two of them have been instrumental in my author journey. Yeah.
Okay. And as a mentor, like what is something that Danielle Allen has been able to like teach you about writing and in the business?
It's definitely more about the business. I've had a couple opportunities come my way that I just didn't know if I should tap into them. And I was able to reach out to her and say, hey, I know you've either taken this opportunity before, or I've heard you talk about this particular event or whatever it may be. Give me some recommendations on if I should engage. And then, Aries Sky slash Untamed is connected to Black Odyssey Media, and Black Odyssey Media was the first publishing company to give me my first traditional publishing deal. So I am forever indebted to her because of that reason. To see my books in bookstores is truly, truly because of her.
Awesome, awesome. That's wonderful to hear. What book in your catalog took the longest to write?
Summer's Echo.
How long?
Ooh, I wrote that thing for 7 months.
Okay, okay.
It took a couple twists and turns, and it was, the publisher and I weren't always in agreement on the direction of the book, so it took a little bit longer to get to the place where we both were happy with the content. So about 7 months.
Okay, okay, and I'll ask about. I'm like, what was the beef? I want to know what the beef was. And last one, which one of your FMCs do you find yourself the most in?
Oh, probably Tia in Foreplay.
Okay, what is it about her that you find so relatable?
Yeah, while I write these books and I have this whole alter ego, I'm actually very introverted as my normal life. And that is what Tia was, very introverted, grew up very self-conscious about being a plus size girl, those types of things. So I felt very connected to Tia when I was writing her for those reasons, because I'm honestly more introverted than what people may think I am.
Okay.
And she was very introverted in that book.
Okay, what about writing and coaching has kind of brought you out of your shell?
And that's so funny. I never think of it as a shell. I actually think of it as I just don't want to be bothered sometimes. But coaching for me, coaching, I come from a learning and development background in my professional career. So coaching and speaking and facilitating, that's always been my thing. So I pretty much just kind of took that into, what do I want to do when I step away from my corporate life? What is it that I want to do next? And coaching other authors really just brings me a whole lot of joy, because I have had the privilege and the pleasure of having, relationships with really amazing authors. But I also had the privilege or the pleasure of not really knowing how to navigate this space of indie authorship. So I really want to share mistakes, that I've made with folks and lessons that I've learned in year one for these authors that I didn't learn until year 3 or 4, right? So they can really get the momentum and elevate their author career pretty quickly versus having to sort of go through some of the crazy things that I went through and stupid decisions, honestly, that I made going through this process. So that's what really gives me joy. And just to get to that night where it's like you're a published author and their faces are like, I can't believe I just did this. I can repeat that night over and over and over again because it just brings me a lot of joy.
Okay, that's the rapid fire. You survived it. You survived it. So I want to talk about a little bit about your journey, your process, and then we'll kind of get into like individual books. Can you tell me about your earliest memory with books?
Oh my gosh. So I am a lover of poetry. I love Nikki Giovanni. Like, my mother still has a book of poems by Nikki Giovanni at her house, and she refuses to let me bring it because it was a gift from one of my teachers who has since passed away, because they were like, this girl has a gift for writing. Like, you have to get her into something. But I can remember in the second grade being put in the fourth grade reading class because I was reading so far in advance of my peers because that's all I loved to do. I would come home and I just read whatever it was. So my love for books has gone all the way back to second grade. But my first memory of what I fell in love with was Nikki Giovanni, Langston Hughes, a lot of just Black poetry. So even when she passed away, I had just met her that year before. And I have her picture literally in my office, the picture that she and I took at a book event. And I just remember her saying, keep writing, baby, keep writing, baby. So in those moments where I get like, do I really want to write this book?
You kind of like look at the picture and the memory.
Yeah, I can hear her talking to me. So that's really my first memory, is going back to second grade, but then really getting into poetry.
Okay. Have you dabbled in writing poetry? Do you have published poetry?
I do not. I have not dabbled in writing poetry. I feel like my writing is poetic.
Listen, period. That's like a great way to refrain. So when did you get into romance as a reader?
Oh, romance as a reader. I used to sneak and read my cousin Zane's books. You know, my mother used to have Danielle Steele books, and I would sneak and read those. When I was babysitting, I was sneaking and reading books. So that was kind of my first exposure to romance. And then I actually did not read romance for a really, really long time. Like, went to college, went to graduate school, got married, had a baby, like all life things started to happen. So I kind of didn't read for a really long time. And it wasn't until right before the pandemic that I started to get back into books that had nothing to do with a degree or work or conference preparation or any of those things. And the first romance book I picked up was Stephanie Nicole Norris's Valentine series.
Okay. Yeah. And that's it's the one with all the brothers, right? Yes. All right. Okay. Yes. Okay.
I read one thinking, oh, I'm gonna just read this one, and then I looked up, I was reading the whole entire series. So I really didn't start getting back into romance until like 2019.
Okay. What was that catalyst for you that made you think or realize that, you know what, I want to write a book? What was that catalyst for you?
So I have always said I wanted to write a book, but I honestly thought that I would write like a self-help or spiritual journey type of book. Anybody who knows me knows I've always wanted to be Oprah or Iyanla Vanzant. Take your pick. So either one of those types of just motivational, inspirational types of books is what I've always said that I wanted to write, but I never was motivated enough to actually do it and was actually pretty afraid. And it wasn't until 2019 when I experienced a pretty rough patch. I had 3 family members pass away within 7 months of each other. COVID hit, and it was just that moment where you're like, life is just too short to continue to put things off that you've always wanted to do. And at the same time I was dealing with that, Stephanie Nicole Norris actually put something out on her Facebook page and it's like, have you ever wanted to write a book? I'll help you.
Okay.
and she brought together a group of 8 women. We wrote, it was called a holiday snack series, and we all wrote short stories, holiday short stories. So my first book published December 19th of 2020. It called French Kiss Christmas. It was literally 65 pages long. And it almost killed me. But I was like, okay, this is gonna be my bucket book. I can say I did it and then I'm done. But then I got the bug. I would wake up in the middle of the night thinking of stories, thinking of characters, all those things. And fast forward from there to now, it's like I can't stop.
Okay. Okay. That's a wonderful journey, kind of like being a part of this author group,
Yep.
novella, and then you're like, I'll keep going.
Yes.
So can you kind of speak to what you feel are the pros and cons of publishing independently and
Mhm.
publishing traditionally? What are those pros and cons for you for each?
You know, the pro to publishing independently is the control.
Okay.
You control everything. I can make the decision of when I want to publish a book. If I'm like, ooh, I haven't published in a month or a couple months or whatever, I can pull the trigger on that as fast as I want to. And I have the control over the editor, the book cover, all the things that it takes to actually publish that book. Whereas with traditional publication, I'm writing a book now that you're not even going to see till the end of 2026, early 2027, right?
Mhm.
So I'm putting all my energy into that today in 2025, but we won't even see it hit bookshelves for another 12 months. So that's definitely a con, just in terms of you have more control in the
Yeah.
independent publishing space versus versus the traditional publishing. But the pro to the traditional publishing is I would have never had the reach to be able to get to distribute my book to Target, to Books a Million, to Walmart, to the places that actually are brick and mortar places to hold the book. I would have never, been able to figure that out just as ROBBI RENEE without the engine behind that of the traditional publisher. So definitely some pros and cons to each. I 100% think everyone should have the experience of publishing on their own, independent publishing, because you learn so much in that process that helps you then when you get that traditional contract know what questions to ask, know what to push back on, all of those things, because you've kind of been there, done that in your own independent publishing space.
Okay. Do you recommend all authors go indie first?
I recommend you do it at some point, even if it's not first. I definitely recommend you do it at some point. But of course, I'm a little biased because that's my process. That was the way that my journey played out. But I do recommend that you at least get the experience of what it feels like, so that you just kind of know, what does it take to actually do a book cover? What does it take to find your editor? What does it take to find a formatter? What does it take to start your Instagram page from like 5 people, and most of them are your mama, your daddy, and your sisters. Like to grow it to 6,000 or whatever the situation is. So I think because it's been so grassroots for me, I feel like that is why I love it so much. And also, I've learned so much in the process.
Okay. So AJ actually made a comment. Thank you for shedding light on the greatness of St. Louis in your books. And that was my last question before we start talking individual books. How has being raised in St. Louis inform your stories, your characters?
You know what? I'm from the Loot and I'm proud. So for me, it was a no brainer to have the books highlight the city that I was born and raised. I did not leave St. Louis until I was 40 years old. So I was literally there the majority of my life. My family's still there. My parents are still there. So I wanted to show those roots of the parks that I grew up in, the food I grew up eating, all of those things. And I also wanted to, St. Louis has had a little bit of a bad rep in terms of, one of the most dangerous cities and all of those things. But there are so many beautiful parts and places in St. Louis for Black people, and so much beauty happening in the Black community there that I just wanted to showcase it. So I probably will write in some other city at some point, but if I'm making the decision, it is going to
Let me
be.
St. Louis. Have you ever gotten pushback about like setting a story in St. Louis?
I have definitely been asked to explore other cities.
By whom? No, you don't have
By
to
my
name names.
publisher.
Okay. And what has your response been to that?
Um, I was a little like, but I also said, you know what? This gives me an opportunity. I'm always looking for an opportunity to learn. So if I can have to research another city that I'm not familiar with, get to talk to people from that city to learn the lingo. If I'm talking about this food, what does that mean? All of those types of things. So I was open to the challenge. So if you're going to ask me questions about the secret invitation, it will not be in St. Louis. So
Okay. Okay.
that will be my first book that has
Can you
no
tell us where? Can
admission.
you tell us where?
Where did we decide? Nashville.
Okay. 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 And is it a city you're familiar with? Like, what is your relationship to Nashville? Writing this book. Okay.
No relationship to Nashville.
Okay. Okay.
I was supposed to go to Tennessee State and I didn't. Like literally, that is the only thing.
Okay, okay. Well, I'm looking forward to. I haven't been to Nashville either, so you're not going to hear anything from me about.
I've only been one. I think I've been once or twice, maybe.
Okay. All right. So let's transition to talking about Summer's Echo. One, congratulations
Thank
on
you.
that audiobook. I'm an audiobook girly, so I love the audiobook. I love the audiobook. And all your audiobooks are great. Like, and I don't know how much control you have over like narrators, productions, but like
Uh-huh.
I think getting through your catalog was easy because
Yeah.
the choices for the audiobooks are good. So I just have to say that.
Yeah, for
Um,
my independent published books, I have 100% control, and I have a very good relationship with Wesley Siobhan. So anything that Robbie Renee produces on her own, Wesley is going to have something to do with it.
okay, okay. No, period, period. And she has her own production company,
Yes,
right? So like
yes.
so yeah, yeah. So yeah, there's never you don't have an audiobook I don't like. What was the inspiration for Summer's Echo?
Oh my gosh. Summer's Echo is kind of a host of a lot of different stories put into one book. Summer's Echo are, you know, relationships my friends have had as teenagers, relationships I've had as a teenager, relationships I've had as an adult. It really is all encompassing of all the conversations I've had with the women in my life who have always had that question. And if you say you haven't had this question, you are lying. That what if? That what if I would have gone in this other direction? Or what if I would have made this other decision with a relationship back at 17, 18, 19 years old? And that's really where the motivation for Summer's Echo came, is wanting to have a book where it was questioning, what if we would have been able to make some different decisions? What would our life look like now as adults? Yeah.
Okay. What was it like? My introduction to you was Somebody's Wife, and then I kind of went backwards and then forwards. What was it like writing post the like viral success, I would call it, of Somebody's Wife and Somebody's Husband? Like, were there nerves, anxieties? Were you feeling like it's not a sophomore slump, but something? Were you feeling
Yeah,
those types of emotions?
absolutely. Especially with Somebody's Husband, because, and I'm sure you saw it, everybody saw it, where I was like, somebody's husband is not connected to somebody's wife. And I was doing that intentionally because I knew that people were going to immediately connect those two books together. And I didn't want them going into that book thinking they were going to see Gemma and Dr. Zeke and Karan and all the people. They don't exist there. So I did feel a lot of stress coming off of Somebody's Wife, because honestly, I just woke up one day and my friend texted me and was like, have you seen Somebody's Wife on TikTok? And I was like, girl, what are you talking about? And you posted, some other folks posted. I was like, what is going on? And then it was like number 2. And I'm like, but when did this happen? It was like number 341 just a week ago. So I did not know how it just went viral all of a sudden. So writing these next books after that, I definitely have felt like, oh my God, I got to get out of that mindset, because you can put yourself into an easy slump and an easy writer's block if you continue to compare to your previous success or even your previous failure. So I had to walk away from Somebody's Wife and say, you are a writer. Every book should look different. everybody is not Dr. Ezekiel. Because again, folks are gonna say, "Oh, she just writing every book like Dr. Ezekiel," which maybe that'll be a good thing. I don't know, but I did have to sort of separate myself a little bit from that, so I can make sure that I could do justice to the characters that were speaking to me in the moment.
Okay.
So that was important to me. Yeah.
Okay. And I totally get like things, and that's why I ask, because I'm like that is it's a masterpiece. So like, how do you follow? But do you feel now that Summer's Echo is out, do you feel like you've kind of gotten over that slump? Okay.
I do, but sometimes I do kind of go back to somebody, so I have to be like, "Girl, what was you doing? Like, can you bottle that? Like, what was going on in your life at the moment?" Because I don't know. I feel like I feel good about everything that I produce, because if I didn't feel good about it, it wouldn't hit the streets. But I don't know what it was. I still don't know what it was about somebody's wife, but I'm trying to figure it out. I'm trying to, like, let me put it in a tube and preserve it. Like,
Yeah, no, and honestly, I don't think we would care if you kept kind of doing like tethers of Dr. Z. Like, I don't think we would mind.
I don't
Um,
think so.
so Summer's Echo is a second chance romance. What do you think readers love about that trope?
I think what I've heard people, say in other interviews and questions that I received, they love the nostalgia of it. If it takes them back to high school, first love type of stories. Um, they love a little bit of the twists and turns and the timeline jump, which I'm actually pretty surprised, because that was the one part of the book that I was very nervous about, because it jumps around so much between them being 17, 18 to older adults. But I do think readers love the nostalgia of the book. They love making some hard decisions as an adult and being held accountable. Like, a lot of people are saying, "Oh, I'm glad she had to face the thunder of her decision." So I think that's what I am seeing as I'm hearing people talk about the book, is that they kind of love, it takes them back to when they were. And I've had people in my DMs like, "Girl, it was that one dude." Like, Echo is that one guy that I never went forward with. So I think they really connect to their relationship and then how it evolves.
Speaking of Echo, what do you think readers love about him as an MMC?
I think they love that he was always down for Summer. Even if he wasn't around her, like, she was still a part of every move, every decision that he made, and he showed up for her. And there was a reason that he showed up for her, and we see that, of course, in the book. But I think, when I read Echo, Echo is not the Dr. Ezekiel, like, swooning in that way, where it's like this sexy swoon of Dr. Ezekiel. I think it's more of him being the thoughtful, caring, kind of knowing what she needs before she can even express what she needs type of person. Not saying Dr. Ezekiel wasn't that, but they were just very different characters. And I think folks are really loving Echo because he loved Summer. He let Summer fall. He let her do her thing, but he also held her accountable for the decisions that she made.
No, he definitely stood on business with Summer. So you alluded earlier in our interview that you had a little back and forth with your publisher about Summer's Echo. What were some of those things that caused a little tension between you and the
Yeah.
publisher?
Are we doing spoilers in this conversation?
Uh, yes, we are. Yes, because I want to know I want to know the beef. We're doing spoilers. What's the beef? What was the beef?
The whole runaway bride was an issue, of maybe it wouldn't go over well that she walked away from her wedding. The time jump was definitely a discussion of, initially the book was set up to where you saw all of Summer and Echo between 17 and 18 at the beginning of the book.
And then you go to the present day. Okay.
Goes present day, whereas there was a concern that the book might fall into a YA category. So I had to go back and redo everything so that it kind of mixes and time hops them from young to old, young to old, young to old. So that was tough because I was finished. I was done with that book. So I had to kind of go back and think through what's gonna connect, what's gonna make sense for me to leave, a scene at 17 or 18 and then hop to a scene in present day at 30 something years old. So that I cried, like literally.
No, because it's not just like, oh, let me just like alt. It's not, you have to kind of make it make sense.
Yeah, you guys. Yeah. So I had to go back from the very beginning. It wasn't like chapter 12 and 13. Let's take a look at those. No, it was like you got to change this whole thing.
Okay. And back to like the runaway bride thing, like what did you do, communicate to kind of keep that? Like how did you fight for that to stay in the book?
So the runaway bride, of course, was the transition to the adulthood in the first version of the book. And the win was moving it to the very beginning. It was sort of like, that's it. That sets the tone. I think it got lost in the middle of the book for the publisher and the editor who I was working with at that time. But when I had to switch everything around, I'm like, nope, this is going to be the first thing that they see because I feel like it's going to lock the reader in. If I have to do it like this, I'm going to lock the reader in immediately because now they're going to try to figure out why the hell is she running away from her wedding? So once I moved it, it was a no-brainer. We agreed. We were 100% in alignment. But in the original version of it, they didn't like where the position of it, like where it was in the book, which, now I'm like, oh yeah, that was a great decision. Back then I was like, this is some bull crap.
No, I think it ended up where it needed to be. So yeah, I agree. For your troubles, I think the result was worth it. So something you do not shy away from in your books, specifically in Summer's Echo, is tackling those hard topics of loss, grief, etc. How do you navigate including those things in your stories without losing the romance and the love? How do you reconcile those two things?
That's a really good question. I think for me, I love books that feel like reality. So I love writing books that feel like reality. And don't get me wrong, I love my billionaire romance. I love all the things.
I mean, your MMCs are not broke. They're not broke.
They're not broke. Like, they're not broke, but they're not taking us off to, on private jets either. Okay. So I like the book to feel real. And I just feel like, and maybe some people feel like it's struggle love, but I feel like to get to some real good love, you got to go through something.
What is your response to kind of like, I think one of the bigger critiques of like Black romance specifically, like what is your response to like struggle love accusations?
I mean, my response is that love takes all shapes and forms. And if you have been blessed to not have any struggle in your love, God bless you. But my love has been struggle. So I write about what I know. And I write about the things that are interesting to me or that I have seen my friends, my family, other folks go through. I think about somebody's husband. One of my best friends is the second wife of a widower. So that was a real conversation with someone who went through that same scenario for me to be able to get some of the stories in that book and make them feel so real because they were real for somebody else. So I think for me, it's like, if you have an issue with the struggle of, that's fine, but I write about what I'm comfortable with and I write about what I know. And that those things, especially as a woman of a certain age, I've gone through some stuff, and I feel like my books are an outlet for me to be able to get those things out of my head, out of my heart, and onto the page, as well as sharing my friends' stories who have come through some things. So, it is what it is. And I've heard people say that before, but I just believe, love can be perfect and it still can be hard.
Okay. And like the examples you use, to me, that doesn't, like, that's not struggle. Like him not having a job, him borrowing your car, like that struggle. So going through a death of a spouse,
Right.
a chronic illness, that's not struggle. That's like so
Yeah.
I don't even equate the topics you touch on as
Yeah.
struggle. I'm like, no, the struggle is he's borrowing your car
Yes. And I've
and
been
he's been on the couch for 40 days and 40 nights, like that struggle. And it's like, I don't read any of that. And if we do read any of that, it's because the next man is not about to be on that type of time. So like
exactly.
I never understand the struggle of
Yeah.
accusations. I'm like, y'all want to, they're conflating conflict, tension,
Right.
you
Right.
know, they're conflating that with struggle. I'm like,
With
nobody's borrowing your Nissan
no,
Altima. Like, no one's doing that.
no,
Um,
not putting folks on your income taxes and those kinds of things. You know what I'm saying?
exactly,
Like,
exactly.
yeah, yeah.
Um, so I want to talk about somebody's wife and somebody's husband. And you just said that, I'm a woman of a particular age. I've been through stuff. Why is it so important for you to write stories about grown folks, about late 30s, 40s? Why is it important for you to do that?
And you know what? The number is just getting ready to keep ticking up because I'm about to be 50 next year. And I'm gonna start talking about that 50-year-old love once I turn 50. So we gonna see what
And
happens.
do you feel like you need to get to your 50s first before you feel like you could write
No,
authoritatively about it?
I'm close enough to it where I feel like I'm very connected. But it was important to me because I didn't always see myself reflected in some of the stories that I was reading. And even when I wrote my first books, they were still their early 30s because I was like, this is what I have to do, right?
Okay.
To be popular and all of those types of things. But then I realized actually I don't even all the way get that either. Like I get the woman in her 40s. I get the woman who's going through perimenopause. I get the woman who's been married for 20 something years and trying to figure out, do I save this relationship or do I, move on? That's what I comprehend. So it was important for me to see me, my friends, and the people that are in my circle show up on the pages because I wasn't seeing a ton of that. And if you were, they were the auntie. They weren't necessarily the person who was, sexual and sensual and passionate and involved in the intimate scenes. They were the auntie. They didn't have a critical role. So I have made it a point for those folks, if I can control it, for those folks to be in their 40s or above.
Have you been getting pushback about the age of your characters in your trad work?
And I will say it's pushback, because I didn't get any pushback for somebody's husband, and they were definitely in their 40s. And the decision for Summer's Echo for those characters to be in their mid 30s was because I just did not want it to be like a 20-year break between the time Summer and Echo were friends in summer camp to the time that they got reacquainted. So that was my decision to do that. So I haven't gotten really any pushback on the age from my traditional publisher.
Okay. For the Somebody's Wife and Husband books, why do you think these books have been received so well? Like, if you can kind of pinpoint why we go up for those books so much, what do you think those reasons are?
Yeah. I think again, they feel like people you can touch, see, feel. They feel like your neighbor. They feel like your friend. They feel like your cousin. They feel like folks that and you actually have proximity to. Versus, I don't have proximity to a billionaire necessarily. Do I want to? Sure. But so those books for me take me into kind of a fantasy world, whereas I don't believe my books take you into a fantasy world. It makes you feel like these are real people who you work with, all of those types of things. I think for Somebody's Husband in particular, it was seeing a Black man go through the loss of his spouse and him be the focal point of the book versus the female main character being the focal point of the book. And that was very intentional, that I wanted this to be told from Dresden's perspective. I wanted to know what does it feel like for the Black man who is being touted as not being a good father, not being a good husband, all of these things, who's a medical doctor, changing lives, saving lives, loved his wife from the moment he saw her until she took her last breath. Loves his children. I wanted to be very intentional about that. So I think people connect to it because it feels real. It feels like the number of people that with somebody's wife were like, "Girl, have you been in my text messages?" Like, you know, this dude that just DM me, like, you know, I'm having this whole DM relationship with this guy. Have you been in my text message? So it felt very real for them.
Okay. Okay. So when somebody's wife, when you were writing that, when that came out, did you always have a plan for somebody's husband, or did that come after the release?
That came after. That was actually the request of the publisher.
Okay.
It's basically like, we wanted somebody's husband. And I was like, okay. I don't want it to be like somebody's wife. So that was my decision for it not to be somebody's wife, because I already knew that I was going to be writing additional books in the Somebody's Wife series, and I wanted to continue to own those. So that was a very strategic business decision for me, to be able to do that. So Somebody's Husband, they were like, I don't care what the book is about. We want the title to be Somebody's Husband.
So this Monroe University universe, are you done with it? Is there more coming from it?
There is more coming from it. So the next book in the Somebody's Wife series will be Karan and Ezra. So the sister-in-law of Gemma and the brother of Ezekiel. So that will be the next book. It will start in Monroe City. They won't be spending most of their time there, but you will get to see Monroe City a bit more. And then, of course, I have to do the third book, which is Myron and Maxine, which was also the friend group. But I do want to do more in Monroe City, because I actually love writing college campus types of stories. So I've thought about some other possibilities that could happen in Monroe.
And what are the, like, kind of the ETA on, like, books 3 and 4?
Good question. So the next Somebody's book will definitely summer 2026. That book, I'm trying to have it ready for Black Romance Book Fest. I'm gonna be real honest.
Yes,
yes. Ready for Black Romance. Yes. I have no shame in my game. I'm trying to have it ready for that event.
Okay, I think the timing is perfect, and everyone is saying yes, multiple S's. Okay, so I want to talk about The Secret Invitation, fall 2026. Is that still the timeline?
It is, as of today.
Okay. And this is a domestic suspense thriller.
Mm-hmm.
What pushed you to want to switch genres or to try a new genre?
You know, the publisher actually asked me, would I be up for a challenge? And I was like, yes. You know, it was that moment when I became a full-time author in June of this year.
Congrats.
Thank you so much. And that was the moment where I was like, I want to step out of my comfort zone. I want to do something a little bit different. So it was like, what would you want to do? And I said, I love a good, you know, Gone Girl type of book. Like, I love a good suspense with a little twist of romance, and passion and intimacy to it. So if I had to step out a little bit, that is probably the most comfortable space for me to pull in my love for suspense. So that's what The Secret Invitation is allowing me to be able to do.
Yeah, someone asked, what is a domestic suspense? You correct me if I'm wrong, but like domestic means like a couple, a family. So like something like that, and then it's a suspense. Do you want to share a little bit of the synopsis with the readers and the audience?
You will meet a couple who's been married for 16 years. They have 2 kids, and they're trying to kind of reestablish some things in their relationship. And this is my first time actually writing a 3 POV book. So there will be 3
first person.
It is first person. So 3 point of views. And that third point of view is the mystery piece in all of it, trying to figure out why this particular woman is creating this level of passion between the couple. Like, when they see her, when they meet her, when they connect with her, what was once dry becomes very moist. So oh my goodness. And that, you know, there's some twists and turns in that whole scenario, and of course some backstory to who she is and her connection to the couple. So can't tell too much because I'll be giving away too much.
No, that's great. That's great. And
yeah.
you said fall 2026 is still the goal. So we should be seeing a cover any day now.
We should be seeing a cover. The cover has been approved. So yes, we should be seeing a cover pretty soon. Pretty soon.
By end of year.
As soon as I can publish it, as soon as I can post it, I will post it.
Okay.
I have not been given the green light yet, but as soon as I can, I will.
Okay. That's wonderful. So now I want to talk about you as a writer's coach. Can you talk about that transition from author to writing coach? Like, when did that happen, and what kind of pushed you into the coaching space?
Yeah, so last year was actually the first time that I started doing writing coaching, and it really came from I was asked if I would coach, you know, if I would do some coaching. And I honestly had already been kind of making my plan to transition out of corporate. So that has been kind of 2 years in the making, knowing that I was going to leave my corporate world and start my own business in some capacity. What that would look like, I didn't know. So a year ago, when I was approached about, do you do any coaching? Are you an editor? You know, can you help? So on and so forth. I was like, this could be an opportunity. And I am a opportunist. So, you know, I'm willing to try anything one time. If it works, great. If it fails, I learned a lesson. So I posted like, hey, almost similar to what Stephanie did for me and the women that were a part of that.
You did that again. Okay.
I wanted to be able to give back in that way to others who have been sitting silently saying, you know, I'm an aspiring author. So fast forward, last year I had a cohort of 6 new writers who published in the Seduction in Red, White, and Blue series.
I remember that. Yeah.
Yes. And they are doing amazing things. Like Jury Hines was one of my authors in there, and now she's having her own event in January.
Yeah.
Stuff. So that really motivated me to say, what would this look like if I actually went full steam ahead in this? And then I had also been getting some offers to potentially do some ghostwriting. So I was just like, let me piece together all of these opportunities. And that's really how Just Right Coaching and the Storyteller's Coach was born, out of, you know, folks coming my direction saying, hey, have you thought about this? Have you thought about this? So in June, I mean, I started in February sort of building the infrastructure, but in June is really when I hit the ground running. Once I separated, you know, from corporate, I hit the ground running. And since June, my second cohort will be publishing, or my third since last year, will be publishing December 16th. Okay. So yes,
that's awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you.
So I want to talk about Stacy Cleveland.
Okay.
So you're ROBBI RENEE, the writer. You're Stacy Cleveland, the coach, storytelling strategist. Why the two different personas?
So ROBBI RENEE really was created for 2 reasons. One, I worked in diversity, equity, and inclusion in tech. So I had to separate.
Like you had to, it was necessity.
Separate my name from this other thing I was doing. So that was a requirement. I had to come up with a pseudonym. But creating ROBBI RENEE also created a little bit of safety for Stacy Cleveland at a time that I was experiencing some pretty rough situations. And ROBBI RENEE became my outlet. She really became my opportunity to kind of say what I wanted to say, hence why my book is called Say It Like You Mean It. Say what I want to say using this sort of mask of ROBBI RENEE. And then when I separated from corporate, oh, look at Sabrina. Oh, sorry. I see one of my old colleagues out here.
Did you do Teach for America? Did you do Teach for America?
I worked for Teach for America for 6 years.
2011 DC cohort.
Are you serious?
2011 DC, yes.
Oh yeah. I'm
2011
sure we have
DC.
crossed
Yes.
paths.
Okay. Okay. Hey, Sabrina.
Yeah,
And
we're gonna
this.
have to talk about that because I'm sure we have crossed paths. Like if you know Sabrina, we have crossed paths at some point. Because I was there from 2011 to 2016, I
Yeah, I
think.
joined the 2011 Cora right out of undergrad. So
Oh
yeah.
my gosh. Okay, yeah, we'll talk about that another time. Anyway, so when I now I lost my train of thought. Oh, so when I left corporate was when I really was like, I no longer have to only be Robbie Renee. Like
Mm-hmm.
I can be Stacey because that is who I am. And
Yeah.
and then I knew that I wanted to publish my first book as Stacey in the nonfiction space. So that is where now it went from like me never talking about my real name to like Stacey Robbie Renee Cleveland. Like because I carry both of those identities with me at all times. And so it was really important for me to allow Stacey to have a little bit of a platform.
Okay. So say it like you mean it isn't necessarily only for authors. Can you kind of speak to like the types of people who could benefit from reading Say It Like You Mean It?
Say It Like You Mean It is honestly my love letter to Black women. It literally begins with a love letter from me to Black women saying, I see you, I hear you, I believe you, because that's what I needed to hear when I was going through some things where I was not seen, I was not heard, and I was not believed when I said things had happened to me. So that book really is kind of my testimony, but then also mindset methodology to say to all women, but definitely Black women, like we can reframe those things that they say about us. We can be angry because we actually have some things to be angry about. We can, be the hard worker, but we also need to fight for that promotion or fight for that next level. So it really talks about just using the things that are innate to us as Black women and flipping them around and using them for their good. Instead of always being the nurturer for others, how do we nurture ourselves? So that's really what that book is about. So it is not just for authors at all. It is for any woman who is kind of going through something and feeling like they need some extra motivation, some extra support. This is me writing that Iyanla Vanzant Oprah book.
And yeah, this book has kind of like it could apply to a lot of people, not just
Yes.
authors. But how can authors benefit from reading this book?
The authors can benefit from it because it has a mindset methodology where I think sometimes, and I'm not speaking for every author, I think sometimes we think we have to separate our creativity from our strategic arm of ourselves. Like we can be creative, write a book, but we can also run a really robust business as an author. So how do we do both of those things? Because even through my coaching, I'm talking to people about their books, but we never talk about how you monetize that book. We never talk about how you make money off that book. We never talk about how you potentially can actually be a full-time author and make a pretty good living, but you have to have a strategy behind it. So this book really does help sort of think through what is that strategy for me to be able to sort of take all of my brilliance and my creativity and my expertise, whether you're an author in the fiction space or an author in the nonfiction space, which I support both. How do I bottle that brilliance, turn it into a book, and then monetize that book? So that's really what I teach in the coaching.
Okay, so talking about craft, talking about business, I want your top three pieces of advice about the craft of writing, and then three top pieces of advice about the business of writing. So, how about for craft?
So for craft, number one is just write.
Okay. Is that
Write.
easy? Is that simple?
It's that simple. You got to get it out of your head and into the computer and on the paper. I tell people, they tell me about, oh, you know what, book 2 gonna be about this, and book 3 is gonna be about that. And I say, in every language, the numerical order starts with 1. So you got to get that first book first before we can start talking about 2, 3, 4, and 5. So you have to just write. You have to make space for your craft. You have to inform the people around you. I'm writing. They know when this door is closed, my son, my husband, whoever is in this house, they know, mom's writing, Stacey's writing, whatever. this is her moment. So you have to bring other people into that so they support that rhythm that you need to be in to write from a craft perspective. And then third, write what you want. Don't write what you think fans are going to read. Write what you want, because readers really want your authenticity. That's what they're looking for. They want to feel like this story it belongs to somebody. So write what you want. I think from the business of it is you got to talk about what you wrote. When you type the end, that is actually when the real work begins.
Okay, okay.
The marketing, all the things, because you can write it all day long, but if nobody knows it exists, it's doing nobody any good. So definitely marketing the book, getting the book out there from the business perspective. Be a distributor of your own book. Do not only rely on Amazon or all the retailers. Yes, put all your books out there, but we have ShipStation in this house every Friday. So if orders are coming in, I'm shipping them out because I can put my price to it. I can put special gifts with it. My autograph means something versus just getting the book off of Amazon. So be the distributor of your own book. And if you're going to write, I think even from a business perspective, keep writing, because that one book is not going to necessarily make you rich unless, you can get a great deal somewhere. But as an independent author, that one book is not going to, pay all the bills. So you have to keep writing, and you have to have a strategic schedule for how you're going to do that to be able to release those books.
Okay. Yeah. So for the writers you coach, the writers in your cohorts, what is that one quality or trait that you see in someone that's like, oh, they would make a good person to coach? Like, what is that one quality you see in them?
One of my contract coaches is actually a former member of one of my cohorts, so I can answer this question very easily. And Kim, for me, was when I first talked to her, because I do an interview with each person who wants to be a part of the cohort. This was something that she wanted to do since she was a kid. So I felt very connected to her in that way, but also knowing that she was making space for this intensive program to get it done. Come hell or high water, she was going to be writing. She was going to meet her deadlines every single week because they have a writing goal that they have to meet every single week. So when I saw those things in her, like she was showing up to every office hour, showing up to every, Q&A session, showing up to every writing room, even if we're just sitting in silence in the writing room for 3 hours, she was there. And that to me let me know that she wanted it for more reasons than vanity. She actually wanted it because she wanted to be a writer. So immediately when I needed some help, she was the first person I went to and said, hey, have you ever thought about being a coach? I can't pay you a whole lot, but we can figure out something. And now she's like my go-to coach. She pretty much runs the entire administrative part of my coaching cohort.
Okay, that's amazing. So I've caught wind of Author Hub 360. Can you speak to that before we get into our final game and audience Q&A?
So speaking to that is STACEY ROBBI RENEE Cleveland doing the most. I told you I'm an opportunist. So anytime an opportunity is put in front of me, I'm going to try it. And one thing through the coaching, I was searching for a platform for my own, coaching business to be able to host my classes, post to social media, all those things. And I was introduced to a platform where I was actually able to white label that platform and really tailor it and customize it to the needs of an author, because I, as an author, could not find that one thing. I was in MailChimp for this and Jotform for that. And, my email was over here. And I literally was logging into 5 or 6 different things every day just to run my author business. And it just wasn't, I was spending more time being a tech person and a social media person than I was writing. So until I found this platform, but even when I found this platform, it wasn't customized to me as an author. And when I was given the opportunity to be able to build it out for authors specifically, I jumped on it. And that's really how Author Hub 360 was born, is really thinking about what do authors need to actually run the business? Because what did I just say? You got to have the creativity part, but you also have to have the business part. And most of the folks that I coach, they're like, oh, I don't have a website. I don't have a social media presence. They don't have all the things that they need to execute on what I'm telling them to do. So this is my way of filling that gap to give them what they need to execute on what I'm coaching them to do. So that is really how it was born, and we're in kind of soft launch phase, testing the system because it's all brand new.
Yeah.
The format is brand new, testing the system, and then we'll fully roll out in early part of 2026.
Okay, so they could still go to like authorhub360.com to learn, and then the platform will kind of hard launch in January or New Year.
They can be a part of the founding author now. So you can join as a founding author now. It locks you into the lowest rate that you'll ever see at this point, but you're also a part of the beta group. So, we have an expectation that we're going to be sending you surveys, once a week. Hey, how did this go for you this week? What did it look like when your webpage launched? What did it? So we can sort of learn what needs to be fixed before we kind of roll it out and spend money on ads and all of those types of things. So if you want to be a part of the founding author group, you can still do that. We're taking 20 authors. And right now, 5 of those slots are filled as of today. So we have 15 more.
Okay. So, Author Hub 360 for more info for aspiring authors in the audience. Okay, so we're gonna end with a this or that. Okay. While we do this or that, audience, now is the time for questions. We're gonna be talking to Robbie until 9:30ish. So get your questions, be succinct, ask them now.
Sitting in the middle of y'all and Goon, honey. I do not.
No. If anything, I don't know when I reached out to you, but like I planned these interviews so far in advance. So like I didn't know this book was coming out last week. Like
it's been a while. Yeah, it's been
a while. The interview comes first.
So it's been a while, yeah.
Okay, so this or that. Dr. Green or Dr. Xavier?
Oh Jesus, Dr. Green.
Okay, Dr. Green. Okay. Do you like character-driven or plot-driven stories?
Character-driven.
Okay. Second chance romance or second chance at love?
Second chance at love.
Okay. Quality time or physical touch?
Quality time.
Okay. He falls first or she falls first?
Talia. He falls first.
Okay, no, that's me. Like I don't want him to fall. I don't want to see no woman fall. No. If you had to choose one, would you be an author or a coach?
How can you ask me that? Honestly, I would be a coach.
Okay. Do you prefer physical books or audiobooks?
Audio.
Okay. Do you like fast-paced or slow burn stories?
I'm getting into slow burns. I used to hate slow burns, but I'm getting into slow burns. So I would say slow burns.
What do you think is like the increasing appeal of a slow burn?
I think the slow burn leads itself to the character question you just asked.
The development of a character.
Yeah, so you got to have some good character development to keep my attention through a slow burn. So if you could keep me for 20 hours like A.E. Valdez did, you have to have some pretty good character development.
That is so funny. And last, this or that. Do you prefer book talk or bookstagram as a marketer of your books?
I honestly don't know the difference. So I have a social media person who does all that. So I don't know what she prefers. So I don't know.
Okay. As a reader, which one do you prefer? As a reader, what do you prefer?
As a reader, I think I'm more familiar with book talk.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I prefer book talk as well. So, you're no complaints out of me.
I just read what y'all tell me to read. Like if you posting it and I'm like, oh, okay, is it on audio? That's always the first question I ask.
That's kind of my first question too. And like my TBR is like, is there audio? Because like I cannot sit with the Kindle as much as I can listen while I work or do chores or drive or whatever. So yeah.
Is it on audio and who's narrating it? Because I'm a little bit of a narrator snob.
Okay. What other narrators do you enjoy?
Winston, I love Winston James. Of course, Jacoby DM. I miss Emmanuel Ingram. Love Benjamin Charles. Love Nicole Smalls. Love E. Kane. Um, I have fallen in love with Tree Taylor. She when she did one of my books, I was like, I really like her. Um, that's like the top of my list
Okay.
right
No, I think it's a great list. You didn't say anyone's name. I did. I don't disagree with any of your choices. Okay, let's get these Q&As. Let me make sure I'm scrolling back to the first question. How did you find your audience, or did the quality of your work lead the audience to you?
You know, honestly, I have to, and this is not because I'm just, I'm on your show. I really have to attribute it to folks like you and podcasters, book clubs, who gave Robbie Renee an opportunity. Like, who literally picked up a book and actually took the time to do a video to be like, you should get this, because it was really grassroots. It was really me posting. It was me saying, hey, I'll come and do your book club, or I'll come to the podcast. I have no clue what that means, but and that's really how it happened. And then I started actually doing events, and then I was meeting people at the event. So grassroots campaign at its finest, because I started that Instagram account and literally, when I tell you, my mother only got an Instagram account so she could follow me on Instagram. Like, literally. So that is really how I found the audience of other folks sharing about the books that I've written, or reposting that they met me at an event or something like that. So that is really how the audience has been developed. It's been no real true marketing of my own. Don't get me wrong. Yes, my social media person does a really good job, but I also think we have the benefit of reposting a lot of things that folks post about Robbie Renee, and I can leverage a lot of that content. So that has been a huge win for me.
Now that you're like an established author, you're full time, you've arrived, do you still feel like you need to invest in kind of like that grassroots? Do you feel like you still need to do the events and the book club? Do you still feel that need to do that?
Yeah, I still do virtual book clubs. If I can, if it's in my city or a city I'm in, I'll do it in person. But I pop in Zoom calls all the time and do virtual book clubs. I respond to my Instagram. So if you send me anything on Instagram, it is me who's responding. Because I just feel like, while you say I've arrived, like that's not what it feels like for me.
Okay. Okay.
I still feel like I need that connection to the readers. I love the events. I love to see folks toting around their suitcases, and because it still blows my mind. Because 5 years ago, I didn't know this existed. 5 years ago, Robbie Renee did not exist. So I still feel it's really important to be out there in those events. Absolutely. Yeah.
What book cons and festivals are you doing in 2026?
Girl, what am I not doing in 2026? I am currently slated for 10 events in 2026.
Okay. Can you share all of them? What can you share?
So I'm starting in Dallas, I believe, for Black Girls Read 2. I think I get them confused.
I think I know what you're talking about.
And then I'll be in my hometown of St. Louis for Petals and Prose.
Okay, I'll see you at Petals and Prose. I'm going to Petals and Prose.
This is my first book event in St. Louis, so I'm really excited about that. Of course, I'll be at the Black Romance Book Fest. I will be at One Love. I'll be at Chocolate City.
Chocolate City Lit. So I'll see you there before.
Yes,
so I'll see you twice in like 2 weeks. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. So I'll be there. I think I'm doing the New York event. And I can't think of the name of it right now. It's on the tip of my tongue. I'm doing Jessica Watkins' event again in Chicago. And I'm missing something, but I'm not sure what.
Okay, but that's a good, at least like winter through summer. Yeah. That's a good calendar. Do you have a favorite author? Someone wants to know.
So Kennedy Ryan is like my all-time favorite author, but very close second is Love Belvin.
Oh, love Belvin. That's a good choice. What's the first step in writing a book? Outlining or brainstorming?
Brainstorming. I spend a ton of time doing brainstorm, story plan, and character development. I am a freestyle writer, so I don't write with the outline. Um, have never written with the
So when you
outline.
say freestyle, do you just
I just
start
sit down and
typing?
start writing.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
okay. But
So
how
I do
long does the story
research.
live in your head before you start typing?
Um, I mean, it just kind of depends. Like it could live there for a while, and I at least I either talk it out or I write it out. Of let me get the idea out of my head, and then I do the research and the character development. So those are always my two first steps: is the research and the character development, and from there the story kind of takes shape on its own. Summer's Echo is the first book that I actually used a little bit of an outline because there were so many time jumps, and I had to quickly pivot to
Mm-hmm.
change the book. So there was no way that I was going to meet, that new deadline if I didn't have a structure. So I had to have a little bit of a structure for Summer's Echo. But I actually prefer being a freestyle where I will literally just sit down and be like, I already know how I want this book to end. So I'm gonna write the ending. And then I might write a sex scene. And then I might write, an argument between the mom and daddy. Like it just kind of depends. So I'm all over the place. I don't number chapters when I write. I just write and then I go back and organize. It's almost like a puzzle. I just dump everything out and then I start putting the pieces together.
Okay, okay. Let me see. Other questions, audience. Last chance to ask Robbie Renee your questions. Let me make sure I'm seeing everyone's questions. Scroll, scroll, scroll. In the meantime, where can people find you online?
Yes, you can find me on Instagram. It's me, Robbie Renee Writes. I'm also on TikTok as Robbie Renee Writes. It's not me. And on Facebook as Robbie Renee or Love Notes by Robbie Renee. You can also go to my website, which is robbierenee.com. All of my titles, except a few, are available on my website. I sign everything and ship. And some audiobooks are available on my website as well.
Okay, okay. Rhetorical asked what book events you're attending next year. I think you said, oh, I'm already forgetting what you said. There's the Dallas event, like Black Girls Write Too,
Yep.
Petals and Prose, Chocolate City Lit,
Yep.
Black Romance Book Fest, One Love in New Orleans.
New Orleans, Chicago Urban Book Fest in September.
For the New York one, the only one I know in New York is like Empire State of Stories.
That's it.
Okay, so the New York one is Empire State of Stories.
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
Okay. And for people who are new to you, what book should they start with?
I say start from the beginning. Start with Pretty Shattered Soul.
Okay, okay, and that's a series.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a series. That's a good start. That's a good start. And last question, or what I think is last question, how do you find beta readers?
So I typically post when I need beta readers, and I am always needing beta readers for myself as well as for my clients. So I typically post. I have right now kind of about 5 or 6 that we just kind of use all the time, but I'm always posting if I need beta readers. So just or reach out to me if you reach out to me on Instagram if you want to be a beta reader. Okay. But I need beta readers who are going to respond.
Okay, responsive beta readers if you respond to a social media inquiry about it. The book event in New Orleans is One Love, right? One Love is in New Orleans in late July, yes. Someone wanted to know, how does coaching work? I think that's kind of like a big question. Do you just do cohorts or do you do one-on-one coaching? Like,
I do cohorts and I do one-on-one coaching as well. Okay. But the one-on-one coaching is typically for bigger projects. Most of my one-on-one coaching are not romance authors. They're typically business people who are looking to write thought leadership books. But I do one-on-one coaching. Yeah.
Okay. And how often do you do cohorts?
So we were doing cohorts once a quarter. Starting in February 1st of 2026, we will actually have a cohort running every month. So if you can't do the first week of February, the next cohort will start the first Wednesday of every month.
Okay. And Cute and Fluffy, to reiterate, if you're going to start at the beginning. So the Pretty Shattered series.
Yes, I would say. I mean, and it's Christmas time, so you can read French Kiss Christmas. It'll literally take you like two minutes.
Yeah, it's a novella. So yeah, if you're looking for Christmas novellas, you have French Kiss Christmas, and then you have New Year's. Yes, so all of y'all who want Christmas books, starting next Friday, The French
Yes.
Kiss books, yes.
Yes, and I'll actually be, this is first hot off the presses. I will be releasing for my 5-year anniversary French Kiss Wishes, which is French Kiss Christmas, French Kiss New Year, and then a new French Kiss book that wraps up that whole series.
Okay, is it focused around a holiday?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Okay. So holiday, you already got your 3 holiday novellas. Because the girls love a holiday novella.
Yes.
Let me make sure. All right. I think those are all the questions. Robbie Renee, thank you so much.
Thank you, Talia.
Thank you so much.
I already know. You're gonna get it, I promise.
Thank you. No, I bought my somebody's books to BRBF and I didn't get them signed.
I know.
I brought them with me, but we're gonna I'm gonna see you in DC, so I'm just gonna bring the books from my house for Chocolate City Lit. So I will see you in April. Yes. Thank you so much. I know you haven't read Heart of a Goon, so you're probably gonna leave the room. Unless you like spoilers. Do you like spoilers? Do you like spoilers?
I'm actually okay with spoilers. Like I still go and read it so I can understand for myself. But I gotta go clean for the cleaning lady who coming tomorrow.
I'm the same person. I have to pre-clean before the clean. But Robbie Renee, thank you so much. For those who are watching, if you missed any part of our interview, it will be available on YouTube tomorrow. And Robbie Renee writes everywhere. Website is
RobbieRenee.com.
And then writing, what website is?
TheStorytellersCoach.com.